recording and I turned it off. Now you're good. Keep going.
Okay, so we hunt the next morning, and we saw a lot of sign. We didn't see any elk or anything. Didn't hear any elk. And I get back to the cabin. We leave every day. We woke up at 5 a.m., leave the cabin at 5:30, and we get back around 12, and then we'd go for the evening hunt around 4, and get back at like 8:30 or 9 at night. And that was like every day. So we got back for lunch the second day, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna shoot my bow, see if it's sighted in or whatever, just get a shot in. They had a target or whatever out set out there. So I step up, I shoot it, and I sky the target and hit the house behind it.
Oh no! Like stuck in the house?
Straight into the house. My buddy walks up to it and is like, pulls it out. He looks at me and says, well, at least you know you can hit the broadside of a barn.
That's good. That's good.
No.
So I'm like, oh crap, my bow's, something's wrong. And we come to realize that my sight was broken on my bow. So, and it was unfixable. And so I'm panicking because the closest place that I could buy something is like 3 hours.
Hours.
Yeah. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere.
No.
And I'm like on the square of Wi-Fi about as big as this pad right here, like trying to like, where can I find a site?
Oh
like,
man.
Just trying to figure it out. And a guy who was hunting that week as well was going to check in, and he walks by and he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, it's not going good. My sight's broken. He's like, oh, well, I got an extra bow. You can just borrow my sight for the week.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
A stranger?
Just a stranger.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I was in shock because I was thinking I was going to not get to hunt all week.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a sight. And he was like, yeah, just borrow my sight, bring it back, leave it here. I was like,
so cool.
Thank you so much. And so got it sighted in, hit the house a couple more times.
This wasn't your house?
No. There wasn't people in it, so it made me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
How big of a hole does that leave? Okay.
Did you have to like fix it? Or just...
What was this house made out of?
It was like just metal. Just kind of like, it was more like a shack. Like, they're all just like big shack cabins that people sleep in. So it's not like anything fancy or anything. But anyways, so I'm not feeling real confident with it. But we get it sighted in, and now I'm gonna skip to second to last day. Me and my partner Dale, Dale is Catholic, we got to talk a lot about Catholic church stuff. He told me he listens to Catholic Man Show and
Oh my goodness.
Our folks.
so we talked
That doesn't surprise me. An elk hunter is
It
probably
doesn't
right.
surprise me. That's the right. Yeah.
Yep.
so that was cool. But we go out, and second to last day, so to get up the mountain pretty much every day, it's like straight uphill. So you have to be on your feet and your hands, and you're just climbing up the mountain on your feet and hands with your pack on your back and your bow on your back.
How long did that take?
Normally, so we didn't, so the place that we went to for the last 3 days, it was probably about an hour hike.
Our bear crawl up the hill?
About 30 minutes of bear crawl, and then it would flatten out a little bit.
This is a recreation activity you're doing.
Yeah.
You're on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood.
But it was not very easy. It was very difficult, and to do it every day was pretty
It just
tough.
occurred to me, how do you get down?
You just put on the brakes with your heels.
Oh,
and
no.
You just go down,
Yes,
kind of
slide
zigzag. Yeah.
Jen, you would have loved this.
So we bear crawl up to a spot that we want to try out, and
Had you been going to the same spot every day?
no, we went to a couple of different spots.
Okay.
in the mornings, and we went to the same spot in the evenings. Which there's a lot of side stories, but I'm just gonna tell the main story. So we get up there, we get to a spot where we think we're at, and we're kind of just set up for a little bit, and I hear, I'm like, oh man. I'm like, well, I look it down, I'm like, so we're like whispering, like, you go that way, I go this way, and we get our bows ready, and we're walking up the hill, and I hear, there's a freaking squirrel in the tree.
You gotta shoot it, man.
And so we're like, oh man. I look at him, I was like, it's a squirrel. We're like, oh, okay. So about 5 minutes later, we kind of start moving to the left a little bit. 5 minutes later, we hear a male elk. It's called a bugle, and it's they just like scream. It's like really loud, almost like a yell. And I look at him, he looks at me, and I'm like, I get my bow out again. He's like, oh, it's a hunter, it's a hunter. I'm like, oh, we better be safe. Grab my bow, walk
Or
up.
like making a call, maybe? Is that what he's thinking?
Yeah,
Okay.
like a hunter making a call. Where that's what he was thinking, and I thought differently. We walked about 20 yards in that direction, and all of a sudden we start seeing. So a female elk is called a cow, and then a male elk is called a bull. So I saw a cow, and all of a sudden we're surrounded by cows, like cow elk.
Do you shoot those or no?
Yeah, you can. That's the one that I shot.
Okay. I'm ready then.
And then like they're just migrating in a herd, and we're like, at this point we're probably 80 yards away from them.
Too far to shoot them?
Too far. And it's real thick too. And then we see bull, like bigger than my arms, like antlers, bigger than my arms. I can't even explain how big it was. And we're like we're going crazy. we can't like contain it. We're trying to figure out how we get closer to them. And they just keep moving, and we're just standing there like trying to figure out what to do. And eventually we like kind of just stay there, and they just move, and we try and get around. But we hear one more bugle, and we kind of keep pushing that way, and then we didn't hear anything else, and we didn't see those the rest of the day.
Oh, man.
So that was the second to last day, and we're like okay. The next scene we were like talking about, all right, we're gonna try and get a little closer to that spot where they came down, and hope that they come down in the same spot. And the next morning, climb up the mountain again, get over to that spot, and I'm probably like half asleep, eating like a granola bar or something, and I hear, I'm like, oh, it's happening. I grab my bow again. All of a sudden I see two elk running down the hill, kind of towards me down the hill. I have 2 lanes. Well, I only have 2 lanes. Like, other than that, it was just brush, didn't really have a shot. There's a tree here, brush, didn't really have a shot. So it had to stop in these 2 lanes, and it was about 30 yards. And they're running down, and I had to, I grabbed my bow, and it all happened so fast. I was had to just make a split-second decision, and they're running, and so I did what I do whenever I hunt deer. I'm like, so whenever you hunt deer, to try and stop a deer, you go, meh. You just make a sound.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And it'll stop
a deer,
them?
It'll stop
Because they
them.
want to check out what's going on.
Yep, they'll stop, and then they'll look. And so that's what I did for the elk. I went, meh, and it stopped. The second one stopped in the second shooting lane. I pulled back, zoom, stuck it.
Whoa. Straight down.
Nope. And then they ran.
This is normal. This is normal.
Wait, where did you get it?
It was
In the neck.
Oh, and
Which
it's
is so
running
good.
away.
But that's
So-
normal. Very rarely do they just.
Yep. So it starts running, and I'm just watching it because some of the hardest parts of the hunt is recovering an
Okay.
animal. So I'm like watching it, and I hear run, crash. And I'm like, oh, I think it's dead. and then about 3 minutes later, I hear run, crash. And I'm like, oh, it's still alive. And then I hear run, crash. Biggest crash of them all. I'm like, I think it's down.
How far away is it at this point?
100 yards.
Oh, wow. I didn't make it that far then.
No.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Where was Dale?
Dale was to my left, about 50 yards.
And he saw this whole thing happen?
He didn't see any of
Oh. Dale.
it. Nope. He didn't see any of it. And so, like, I'm looking at him and I'm trying to, like, hand signal, like, I got it. He's like, you want me to call? What? So, like, I wait an hour or so and I walk over to Dale and I'm like, Dale, did you see that? He's like, no, what happened? I was like, I think I shot it.
You waited an hour?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, he had a tag too, so we wanted to wait and see if that hurt. So these were
Oh,
two.
so you didn't
this
want to
was
ruin
two
his
out.
chance. Okay.
Yeah. So we waited a little bit, and I went over there and I was like, "Ew, did you see that?" And he was like, "No, what happened?" I was like, "I think I shot it."
And also, you can't approach them when they're still dying. Even after they've fallen, it's very dangerous.
Because they'll try and kill you.
Because if there's still anything left alive at all,
They're going to fight.
they'll freak out.
Yeah.
Father Gunn told me that's what you're supposed to do.
So you used it to try and like track it from a distance, wait for it to die? Or did it hit it again if it's not dying?
Well,
In this
yes.
case you didn't, but
Yeah, if it was suffering,
James the
then you
expert.
would, yeah. But you follow the blood trail.
When you went up
Just
to it,
learned a
did you
lot.
say some like Native American prayers or have some sort of ritual? Or you're like, oh, let's cut it up.
What? How many pounds did you say it was? It was like
It was 200 pounds of meat.
crazy.
And I figured the animal probably weighed like 800 pounds.
wow.
Yeah. I couldn't move it. Me and Dale couldn't move it combined. Like we tried to like
800 pounds. Yeah. I mean,
all we could do was flip it. We couldn't move it.
That's like 3.5 men or 4, 3.
it's about 10 Alex Borges, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean.
Wow.
So then did you call the other guys?
Yeah, so then we found, so we had to track it about 100 yards, not very far. And
Well, that's a whole football field.
yeah, but I mean, I've had to track deer like 400, 500 yards. So it wasn't that bad. And I didn't have one of the satellite radio things that they have. So he satellite in to get one of our buddies, his name is Jason, come up and help us pack it out. And we pretty much had it all skinned and deboned before he got there.
You deboned it in the field?
Yeah.
How else are they going to deal with an 800-pound animal?
I guess you're just trying to pack the meat out, right?
Yeah.
And antlers if it was a ball.
Right.
Oh,
Just throw it over your shoulders
any
and
of
carry
it
it down.
over a campfire that night or anything?
No, not yet. I haven't. Yeah.
Did any of the other guys in the troop get it? Get one? You're the only one! Oh my goodness!
You deboned it in the field?
Yeah.
That's not standard, right? Or is that standard for elk because they're so big?
It's not standard, but it's like a new.
You missed the part where
style.
he's climbing up the vertical side of a mountain with his hands and feet, literally climbing for half an hour to get to this spot.
I did miss it.
I'm gonna bring you when I tell stories.